Hey, welcome to episode 274 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast. We are recording on April the 26th, 2026. My name is Eric, host of the show, based in Southern Ontario, hunter, target shooter, ham radio operator, and of course, computer geek. As a first responder, witnessed an over-reliance on emergency services during major events and started a small preparedness company to help people get better prepared for at least 72 hours, if not longer.
And I'm Jeff. I'm based in Central Ontario. I'm a target shooter, ham radio operator, general overall handyman, and weather nerd.
And I'm Brad. I'm in Eastern Ontario. Consider myself a part-time amateur prepper, constantly trying to better myself.
You can't be amateur now. You've been on the show long enough.
Yeah, well, I still don't consider it a full-time, full-blown, yeah. I got too many other things going on. Yeah. I'm trying.
Hey.
Constantly trying to better myself, so I'll work to that eventually.
My name is Pierre. I'm a tactical beard owner, base t-shirt merchant, government critiqued. Somehow made it on this panel, even though I'm probably the worst prepper. And the reason we hit the explicit button.
It's true.
And I'm the Frugal Gunny. I'm an off-gridder, a shooter, a hunter, a fisher, gatherer, a trapper type, and a generalist. I'm really big into self-sufficiency. That's spending nearly a year off-grid and then another away from home. I'm now back in the Ottawa area. I've started a small training business called Off-Grid School, where we teach all manner of off-grid skills to small groups in hands-on, in-person, outdoor environments.
In-person, outdoor, no computers.
Yeah, that's right. Non-digital, all analog.
I like it.
Is there Wi-Fi? Is there Wi-Fi when I get there though?
No signal.
No.
Off the grid. No grid.
But do you record it?
It's a thought.
Amazing.
Then people won't come, right?
True.
And then it wouldn't be hands-on anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Right?
So that's the gig.
Everybody out there, if you want to help support the show, you can buy some swag. We have both the Canadian Prepper Podcast t-shirt, like this one, and the tactical Velcro patch at www.prepperpodcast.ca. All the proceeds help to cover our podcast costs.
And if you're enjoying the show, please take a few minutes and submit a review wherever you found us. We want your feedback, even if it's bad. We also invite you to reach out and tell us about something you've learned this week. Drop us an email at feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
All right, so this episode, we're going to be talking about how the world events are impacting our preps, because apparently the world's decided to keep things a little bit interesting the last little while. We'll start out with some recent news. We'll update you on our personal preps. We're going to get into the main topic, what's going on globally and what it means for you and what it means for us on the panel. So I'll move into some news. So we got a couple articles here. First one from the World Economic Forum, reporting a significant rise in cyber threats globally, with increasing attacks targeting infrastructure and businesses as digital systems become more critical. Kind of one of my concerns about all the things that are going on around the world right now. Cybersecurity is definitely on the list of concern.
I would think so.
I just happened upon an article like maybe 10 minutes ago, and I didn't bother to quickly put it on there, but it was there were 3 guys in the GTA that got arrested for having I think it's SMS, like the text stuff. They were caught with MSS or whatever it is, blasters, and basically they would take their vehicle near a cell tower, turn this thing on, and your phones were thinking they were connecting to the cell tower, and they're connecting to these people's machine or whatever, and then it would blast out fake text messages, trying to get people to click on links and do stuff so they could get get all their information.
Or just take the entire system down.
Pardon?
Do we have a podcast for you or an episode for you?
We subscribe.
Yeah. That's just crazy. I wish we could part ways with part of technology and a lot of things. I'm all up for technology. I mean, obviously we use technology to communicate and do what we do, but at the end of the day, I do have a deep hatred for technology because too many bad people use it for bad things compared to the benefits of it. So
It's true.
I'll agree with that statement.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, the next article I got in here is from Reuters, just reporting that the impact of the conflict involving Iran spreading deeper into the global economy with rising oil prices, because I'm sure none of us have noticed that, and shipping disruptions starting to affect multiple sectors worldwide. So that's another thing that's going on right now that I'm sure pretty much everybody on the panel and everybody listening has noticed, that the price of the pumps is just astronomically skyrocketed.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about that in the thing, but that's something that's very much moved its spot up the list on my important stuff. So
the company I work for, we got new contract with a fuel provider for our diesel. We were told that we can only fill at 2 specific stations in our city. If we go out of the city and need to fuel, you might actually get a little bit of a talking to, and you have to ask if you can fill at a different station other than the ones in the town, because they've got a good deal going for the 2 stations. Okay, well,
sounds like communism. But go on.
yeah, we used to be able to fill anywhere. We used to be able to fill anywhere, and from a different provider, a different fuel company. We used to be able to fill anywhere, and now it's 2 stations only. So make sure you're fueled up before you leave the city, or at the end of your day, or beginning of your day, whatnot. Plan your routes accordingly so that you can fill, and if not, you're getting in trouble.
And I mean, I understand it from a business point of view, right? Like if you can keep costs down, you can do better pricing for the service you provide compared to anything else. But it also really hampers the company or the people working, like you were saying, right? Like, oh, I got to go out of town. What about this? What about that? Like, I understand both sides, but we should just fix gas prices.
Yep.
Yeah.
If only it were that easy. One other piece of news, the podcast, we're going to be switching to bi-weekly episodes. We didn't mention that the last show, but we're going to start doing bi-weekly Sundays. Gives us all kind of a time to get everything caught up, let life happen, and get a show kind of organized and ready to go. So pay attention to that. Not going to be weekly anymore. We're going to be doing bi-weekly. So, and then a couple of live chat messages in here. But yep, that's me. Mentions that gas in Grand Prairie is 151.9 for gas and 172.9 for diesel. Burns even just saying that. Oof. It's way too expensive.
I
that's actually cheap for diesel.
Yeah.
Diesel. I filled up at 247.9 in my work truck. I mean, company was paying for it, but like I put $200 in, and I got just under 3/4 of a tank of gas in like a regular 3,500 truck, and I was just like, "Ooh,
that hurts."
Yeah, it hurts. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's gonna affect everything business wise, like we were just saying. So yeah, 172. I mean, it's still way too much, but way better than 80 cents more.
$2 plus.
Yeah.
And then before we get into what we've done lately for preps, Patrick has a really important question in the live chat that I think we should address. What's the best way to keep your beer cold in the summer when you're off grid? It's the biggest concern, really. He says he loves the show and good to see us back on the air. But that is a very, very important question.
Dig a hole and bury it.
I could jump in here and offer a few options if you might.
Go for it.
All right. If you've got a swamp, bury it deep in the water in the swamp. The cold water as you go deeper will get warmer. If it's shallow swamp, don't bother. It's just going to be a stinking hot there, and it's going to take in all the light. The other way you can pull something off like this is you can use the Amish method. So what the Amish method is a regular wall, and then you give yourself a little bit of space, probably a foot, for the inner wall. And between those two walls, and you would do this around the entire perimeter of your small structure, let's say a shed, And what you do is inside of that, you would put sawdust. Nowadays, they don't do the sawdust thing. They use 2-inch styrofoam, and they just layer that, and they'll put it in as thick as they can, probably 6 inches worth. And then they'll have the inner wall. And then on the inside of the inner wall, that's where the stuff you want to keep cool goes. Now, what you do is in there, you stack in some ice sometime around just before the thaw. So sometime in February, maybe early March, you go out there onto the lake, you cut some blocks of ice. The old school way would have been with axes, but they've long since used other tricks. But they also have long hand-driven axes, saws, and that works really well too. And they just
in the beginning of Frozen.
They just bring those blocks in on a sled, and they throw them into the shed, and that's it. There's your cold room. And generally speaking, whatever you put in there is going to last throughout the year until fall, and then you can start all over again.
Now, something
Something
to
Go
mention
ahead, Brad.
on top of that, Frugal, is when they put the ice in, they usually cover it with sawdust.
Yeah. So the sawdust, what it will do is it will keep the air from getting to that ice, and so it will not melt, and so you keep a cool ambient temperature. The sawdust was also used as an insulator prior to all the nice modern foam coming out, and so that's how they did it up north when I was there.
See, my solution was just drink it before it gets warm, but yours is a little bit more preppery.
Or, depending on the type of beer you drink, it might even actually be better warm.
Huh?
You know,
Touche.
it'd be like a 50 person, like, you know.
Oh, easy, Jeff. Easy.
Like a Labatt 50.
All right. With that, let's move into what we've done lately for preps before Jeff gets on his tirade about Labatt 50. We'll kick off with Brad.
Work. That's all I seem to ever do. Lots of driving last week. Put a couple 1,000 kilometers on the big truck. Bit of fuel rotation here at home. I'm working on redoing my little stealth camper trailer. I plan on adding a removable awning to it this year, and putting together my gear and such for this year's Preppers Meet.
Oh, yeah.
I plan to have my trailer and try out my awning. Spring cleanup has begun around here. Took a load of metal in to change it in for cash. Actually made $113 this week, which was good.
It's like 4
And
liters
continuing
of gas.
to clean up and out my parents' house as we get ready to put it up for sale, and waiting for my for my brother to come in from the East Coast middle of May and do a final sweep and sorting of everything and put the house up for sale. So,
You know, Brad, you could retire anytime, but
unfortunately, no,
no.
it's not good.
I'm retired, but I seem to work more now than I ever did. Anyways,
Funny how that happens, eh?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yep. So everybody's like, "Oh, I'll call Jeff to help because he's got nothing to do now." So, anyways, and speaking on that, I helped a friend. He had a very large ash tree taken down in his backyard last fall, and we cut it and split it. We probably got close to 5 bush cord out of it. So I did that all week.
Good call.
Fuel rotation, I'll talk about that a little bit in the next section. I just scored myself 4 100-pound propane tanks for $25 each. So $100.
Wasn't from Walmart.
You stole
Okay.
that, buddy. Nice work.
Two are still valid, 2 are expired, but for $25, like,
No, the cost to recertify it's still worth it.
the deals are out there. If you look, that you just gotta, jump on them fast, because I jumped on it pretty quick, and it was like a 40-minute drive to the guy's place, and I got there, and he's like, he says, I probably had 20 messages since I told you that I would sell it to you. So
Just the rest of us.
yeah,
Yeah.
poor schmucks.
Yeah, the rest of us, and we were all going to get Jeff to go pick it up
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah.
Why? Because he's retired, right?
Yeah. That's all you got, Jeff?
Yeah, that's it for now.
All right. All right. For myself, I'm still building out that standby generator monitoring system that I talked about the last episode with the Raspberry Pi. No, Pierre, not the type you eat, the electronic
Yeah.
type. It's a little small computer. It's working well. Just I got to address one little issue where when the generator cranks to start, the Raspberry Pi loses power. So it's cooked up to the same battery that cranks the generator. So I've got a few ideas as to how to rectify that, but it's not a big deal because it comes back up, it reconnects, it gives me all the data that I want. So I will figure that out as time allows. I've been keeping an eye on global events just because, like we said, things are going a little bit crazy, and kind of rethought my communications plan. I know it's weird for me to be talking about comms and radios and that kind of stuff, but started thinking about some of the gaps and spots that I could maybe fill in. And I had a little bit of a chat with Frugal about Starlink and seeing how that can maybe fit into my system. So might be looking at that a little bit more seriously. And yeah, just reflecting on the fact that there's always a couple of little holes here and there that you can plug, and may as well look at them while you've got the time and fill them in. So that's kind of where I'm sitting this week.
Very cool. We'll talk after about the startup and how you have your battery hookup for starter and powering
Cool.
everything. You might have to, we'll figure that out later. For myself, food rotation, fuel rotation as per usual. There's a potential new job on the horizon. It'll have me a little more away from, quite a bit more away from home. Home more, but away more at the same time. So just trying to think, okay, what can we plan for those days that I'm gone, make it easier for wife, daughter, dogs, everything, right? Like I'm not here to come assist with anything if that goes. So what we're going to be discussing tonight is going to be like, okay, what are we putting at the top of the preps, right? Or our plans, right? Power, food, subsidy, all that stuff. So just thinking nothing's official yet, and I'm still waiting to hear back, even though it's supposed to be last week. But just waiting on that. We're thinking ahead on those preps, and then if that doesn't go through, then we'll just go back to our usual preps and keep going along with the same things as if we were to plan with the new upcoming job, and that's about it. Just getting through the grind and eating food.
Those are good priorities to have, bud.
Yep.
On my end, I've had a lot of things going on. I've been prepping for the annual preppers meet. Go figure. Looks like I might be presenting two different topics, revisiting potentially the mobile truck approach, but also introducing navigation, which I think is going to be a big one, a GPS-less navigation.
Back to basics.
Yeah, back to basics. So everything going on lately has me just focusing more inwardly on everything I've done when I was off the grid and just preparing for the eventual loss of grid and how it impact my daily living here. So I've been doing an awful lot of staging of gear and supplies all over the place. To my girlfriend's consternation, I think. What's this doing here? Oh, that's there just cuz. What do you mean just cuz? It's
very important.
It's just a good idea to leave MREs close to where you can grab them.
Just let her know. Just let her know that me and Mel said it was a good idea, and she'll agree.
All right, I'm gonna run with that, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah,
if you need a couch after saying that.
But when she looks at me funny and asks me why I left it there, I go, well, things have been a little crazy out there in the world right now. So, it's just a little bit of extra readiness, right? And that seems to be okay for now, especially if it's food related. If I bring extra stuff from the outside world that is food related, I can easily store. Well, nobody is ever unhappy about that. So I've been bringing that in, just a lot of food side of things, keeping busy preparing for the preppers meet, working on website content because I think it needs just a fair bit more. And of course, switching over the truck to spring and summer mode. But honestly, what's occupying my mind lately is ammo production. I need to get back into that mode, folks. I can't emphasize that enough. If you aren't reloading and you have the means to get started, maybe now is a good time before it's too late. If you don't already have ammo stores for the things that you need ammo for, you might want to consider having some of that on hand. It's really expensive now more than ever, but that's what I've been focusing on lately. Just staging stuff and more ammo.
Can't go wrong with either.
Mhm.
The way to my heart.
Oh boy. All right. Well, with that, let's move on to the main topic, shall we? And we'll kick off with Jeff, and then everybody else can sound off from there, and we'll see where the conversation takes us.
Yeah. So the topic for tonight is how has the global disruption affected your preps or your mindset around your preps? Have you added something? I put in there remove something. You should never remove something. If it's there, it's there for a reason. So I'll kind of take that one out. Have you stepped up on certain items? And if so, what? As we mentioned there a little bit earlier, fuel has gone substantially up my list. I'd always been kind of, my big concern was the grid and losing the power grid and all that stuff. But seeing everything that's going on right now and how much one country and one small strait of water can have such a huge adverse effect on the fuel and stuff like that has me very, very seriously worried. Obviously, the movement of oil and that, the Strait of Hormuz only accounts for 20% of the world oil, but now you're seeing, the U.S. is like, oh, come and get our oil, come and buy our oil. You can't get oil, come and buy ours. And some people are, and more power to them, but they don't have an infinite amount of oil either. And at some point, they're gonna out and, I'm not picking on anybody or whatever, but Trump's like, come on, buy our oil. We got tons of it. Well, if you've got tons of it, why is your country, why are the people in your country paying $5, $6, $7 a gallon for fuel? It just doesn't make any sense. Yes, I know that the whole cost of oil is going up, but all that's doing is lining the pockets of the big oil companies. So I just think that's going to become a big problem, a big thing. I mean, some of the governments are reducing taxes to try to offset the cost. That can only do so much. Lufthansa
lasts so long too.
Yep, and Lufthansa, which is is Germany's biggest airline, and one of the larger ones in the world. They've come out and said they're going to cut 20,000 flights between now and the end of October because of fuel costs. And I think that's just the beginning. I really think that if they don't settle things, we're going to be in for more big problems. And something that Eric mentioned in his notes, he said preparedness is no longer a just in case. It's actively relevant. It really is. Things can change overnight, and they are. And
100%.
Where I had doing a lot of my planning around the grid. Now more of my planning is around fuel and around. I still think the grid is an issue, but places are like there's a person on Discord from Australia who's really active. They only have 2 refineries and one of them burned. So, and you're seeing I don't know if it's a coincidence, karma, whatever, but you're seeing all kinds of oil refineries going offline. Ukraine's
Mhm.
bombing the crap um, out of
Russia?
Russia's oil infrastructure, and I think that's more of a way to cripple a country as opposed to the grid is to just take a shot at their refineries and their oil ports, and things will spiral like pretty fast.
Yeah. If I can jump in there, Jeff, the one thing that kind of they kind of mesh together, the two things you've mentioned, the gas prices going up, the speed at which we saw the impact, I thought was pretty quick. We went from like 0 to 60 overnight almost, where gas prices just skyrocketed.
Mhm.
Yep.
But then you talk about the grid, and don't forget that this battle can be fought electronically in the cyberspace, right? It's a thing now. And don't think that they're not targeting things like power plants and other critical infrastructure like water distribution centers. Major infrastructure is all hooked up some way or another. So I would almost argue that both those things have just skyrocketed at the top of my list. They were always kind of there, but now it's like front and center of this. This is a real issue that all of a sudden one little weakness in the infrastructure, and then boom, the lights are out. Nothing has to blow up. Nothing has to reach us. Just a couple of packets across the internet.
Correct. And I should highlight that after the Snowden revelations, Russia completely, for their really critical stuff, they just stopped using computers altogether. They're back to the old school tradecraft and typewriters.
Pigeons?
We did
should
not
go to
take a
pigeons.
lesson from that, clearly.
Yeah.
And here we are today. So
If you really want to go to old school tradecraft, some number stations have also recently popped up. Just saying.
Yep. That was an okay movie.
Sorry, some what have just popped up?
Some number stations. So they will broadcast codes across just regular radio frequencies. It's totally out in the open airspace. You can tune in and listen to it, but it will read off a sequence of letters or numbers, and then that will translate on a one-time pad to whatever person is supposed to hear that transmission. And the only person that can decode that message is the person with the one-time pad. So you decode the message, destroy the pad. Anybody else that hears it, it means absolutely nothing to them. It's been around for decades.
old school.
Like back to World War I time.
Okay, I think I mentioned to you there a while ago, Rick. I'm like, there's, you're hearing on the radio and some frequencies just random broadcast stuff, and like, what the heck is that?
Some weirdness is happening there too.
Yeah.
But specifically, a few new number stations have popped up recently, which kind of piqued my interest as well, to say the least.
I'm gonna get my pad of paper soon.
Carrier pigeon sales will be on the rise.
I have been advising for many years now that if you want to reduce your exposure to a grid down option happening, because it could happen anytime from a number of different things. It's not just human threats. The grid is so fragile that it can snap anytime. So when you've got actively different parties who are looking to sabotage the world over, I don't know, to me, the risk goes up quite a bit. And so it just makes a lot of sense to try and de-risk from the loss of the grid. And this means all aspects of the grid. So lately, I've been doing this a long time now because I'm an off-gridder, but what I'm recommending to everybody is, okay, think of everything you use every day you don't even think about. It's probably a service being given to you by somebody else who's doing it at a cost. And when they can't even do it for themselves anymore, they can't certainly give it to you. And then it'll cut out really quickly. And
it's true.
The whole petroleum thing, petroleum is what's used to extract coal. Petroleum is what's used to displace coal. Coal is what's used when there's drops in energy production for one reason or another. When you've got failures and increasing draw, for example, we're about to get into a season where there's a fair amount of high power draw on electrical systems. We have a grid that is more and more stressed and under load because of data centers going online everywhere all at once. So to me, you've got a bit of a perfect storm here for the grid to be very fragile at this time.
Yep.
So I personally recommend, as always, try to find ways to have workarounds for when the grid does go down. Because to me, it's simply an inevitability. It's mathematical, right? Mathematical inevitability. The grid will go down at some point. So how do you prepare against it? Well, I think we're going to discuss an awful lot of that here in this session.
I think so. And That's Me has a pretty neat comment in the live chat here, just saying, I've been teaching Meshtastic and instructing using the one-time pad. It's a fantastic idea. I'm going to look into that a little bit more. But, what else do you got for us, Jeff?
I'm going to get frugal to look into that.
Kind of that was it. Just, for me, yeah, the grid is top of my list, but the fuel issue's gone from maybe 5 or 6 to probably number 2. I just think that's down the road. That's going to be a really, really big issue is getting fuel. Lots of gas stations and places are running out of fuel, and the prices are just gonna keep going up to the point where are people even going to be able to afford to put gas in their tank anymore?
Jeff, I think you're going to see the return of the bicycle in a big way, man.
Yep, bicycles, motorcycles, things cheap on fuel, e-bikes.
Yep. And Jeff makes another good point here, I've noticed how all of us have kind of said as well, that we're moving our thought process around what is happening, right? So Jeff said, like, fuel and everything was maybe number 6 on his list. Now it's up near the top. I said kind of the whole cyber attack thing was kind of lingering, but it's a little bit higher up now, and fuel is as well. It's important to just notice that it's not just a set it and forget it kind of thing. As things evolve and the landscape changes, your preparedness plans can change and modify as well. I know a lot of people will get kind of that tunnel vision of, I am focused on this one event that I am going to be ready for. And you know what, that's fine. But be prepared to modify that as well. As the world changes, we're seeing different things impacted, and priorities as to what we're preparing for and what we're kind of setting aside and we're giving a couple extra cycles to changes as well.
Yeah. One thing, 100%. It's fluid. It's always, as they say, it's a live document. Things change. Yeah. Things move. Yeah, I mean, I'm making more of a concerted effort to have more food set aside using my canner and stuff like that. And I've always been tempted or wanting to look at a freeze dryer. I just can't justify the money.
We were close last year, Jeff.
It's never going to get any cheaper, but
yeah, like that's on my prep list as well. Like a freeze dryer is up there. With it for 100%. Sure.
There was one on Marketplace. It had some issues, like it didn't have any trays, and there was something else with it. But the guy only wanted $1,250 for it.
Yeah.
So I just kind of reached out and poked the bear a little bit, and he come back and said, "Yeah, it's already sold."
Yeah, because I'm sure you could reach out to the company and buy trays for
fairly
like way cheaper than buying a whole thing, right? Like as long as the essentials work, right? Like even buying a new seal, buying a new pump, like the compressor part and everything, like you'd still be way ahead at that price.
But talking freeze dryers and food prep and stuff is a really good segue into just talking about the supply chain and how that is being impacted right now by fuel prices. Like we're seeing that with flights being canceled and such, and flights can bring supplies in, right? But I suspect we're going to be seeing higher prices at the grocery store here shortly, if we haven't already. Yes, I will be shocked by the price of grapes again, because I haven't forgotten about that. But we're going to start seeing that as well. We work in a system that delivers things just in time, so it's just getting there as it's got to hit the shelves. We start seeing fuel shortages and lack of fuel, you're not going to see deliveries. So this might be the time to start looking into that as well and stocking the shelves in your pantry a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm hearing, and I don't know if anybody else has heard it, but I've heard rumor of like owner operators. So they own their own truck. Owner operators literally dropping the keys and walking away because they can't afford to do it anymore.
that was the case before these oil price shocks. There were many who were hanging up their keys. So what that's going to do to a country like ourselves is remarkably vulnerable, I think, because we only have 3 refineries, which to me still blows my mind. Yeah. Considering that, well, I don't know. To me, it's a comment on what the true intent of the country is. If we're only going to have 3 refineries, that's not enough to support the amount of people that we have, but it sure is enough to support the equipment you need to draw the resources out of the country, right?
Yep.
Yeah. That seems to be what's going on here. They're prioritizing extraction of resources, and we seem to be the second priority at this time. Yep. I don't know. It's what's bearing out in the economy, because every time we get a break on the fuel, they jack the prices back up. Every time we get a break on food prices, because the fuel has now been absorbed, oh, there's this other thing. And so it's kind of feeling like a game of whack-a-mole, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
And I like the comment from, yep, that's me again. It's in there. It says, if you're unable to adapt, you will die. Goes for countries as well. 100%.
Yep.
100%. I'm in full agreement there.
So going back to food preps real quick, freeze dryer, awesome. Dehydrator is a very cheap alternative before you can get that. Brad has been over to my house when we did apples, carrots, and all that stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, they were fantastic. Like, you'd be surprised how small 3 pounds of carrots get in the strawberries. Not as shelf stable, but a very good alternative if prices are at, a good price where you can get whatever. Even if, like, we have Mel got like the really fancy ones. We have 2, because don't even get me started. But even those fairly cheap ones you can get at Cabela's, they have dehydrator trays. Princess Auto has them that goes on sale. Even if you get something that may not be like top of the line, doing your due diligence on, getting most of that moisture out or whatever can help with shelf stable food for longer than just your fridge. Maybe not as good as a freeze dryer, but a very low cost entry to make grapes last, 9 months.
Absolutely, 100%. And
dehydrate something and then freeze it.
Yeah, you could absolutely. So it'd be no different than not dehydrating it and throwing it in the freezer. Right?
Yeah, but like you were saying with the carrots and strawberries, right? Like, you took this amount and it became that amount, or even smaller. Throw that in the freezer. Now you just freed up for some freezer space for more.
Yeah, and if you throw it in a stew, right? Like, throw it in some bouillon, you're making a soup, you can throw dehydrated carrots in there and leave them in there long enough, and they'll pretty much rehydrate, where they won't be as crunchy and whatever. They may not be the exact same as like a freshly peeled carrot, but like, you'll still have a lot of that nutrients in there. So yeah, which way, very low cost in comparison to freeze drying. Absolutely, buy the freeze dried food by bulk if you can or whatever. But if it's something that you want to be a little more self-sufficient with your gardens this year or whatever, keep an eye on all the stores for dehydrators and find one that's on sale. It may not last you 20 years, but might get you by for a little bit and just make your personal preps or even stuff you buy at the grocery store last just a little bit longer.
I'm with Patrick on buying beans.
Yes.
I bought last year 3 bags of 10 kilos of pinto beans. And right now I'm feeling pretty good about those stores. I've been through 1 bag now. It took a little over a year, but been through 1 bag. And now I've got 2 more sitting on those. A little pro tip for everybody: if you shop at Costco Business Center instead of a regular Costco, you will find beans there at a great price. And if you're thinking, man, you can't get buff on beans, the gladiators ate beans mostly, right? So we can dispel that.
I mean, beans and rice, right? You get beans and rice, you'll survive. It's going to be very bland, and it's going to suck eating it every day. But beans and rice, very low cost, very easy to maintain and store, last a long time.
I've discussed with my girlfriend that, if it gets really bad, because she's noticing the cost of food pretty bad too. I'm starting to get her convinced that we might be able to start building some garden boxes that we can grow veggies in right here at the house.
Very nice.
Take advantage of the little bit of space you have. I'm seeing much more of that here in the city. So I think already people are doing it, but it's nice to see it growing. I hope people keep it up.
Patrick does warn us about the after effects of the bean stews, however. But my argument would be that assists with just heat.
Yep.
If you need it in the winter.
That.
Yeah.
In the summertime, they got nothing for you. But in the wintertime.
As a fellow who's eaten a lot of them in the last year, once you start eating them, if you stay on them, they won't have the same effect anymore. But if you go off of them for a while and then you get back on, you restart the whole process.
I mean, I think this is coming too. Talking about like having your own sustainable stuff and that it was out west. I believe it's BC. Go figure. That a municipality out there was trying to come out with a bylaw that said you were only allowed 6 chickens, no roosters, maximum 6 chickens at a. You had to have a minimum of 2 acres. You'd have 6 chickens, no other animals at all, unless you had a minimum of 10 acres. So no pigs, no other
livestock,
whatever kind of animals for food and stuff like that, unless you had a minimum of a 10-acre lot.
So was that before or after it was all stolen land and people can't remortgage?
Yeah, well, we're not even going to go down that road.
Somewhere recently I saw that some government, it could have been Canadian, not sure, don't remember all of it. They were saying you can only produce X amount of food from your garden, and if you have more than that, you have to claim it. The government will come and pick it up and redistribute it elsewhere to those in need.
I have a solution for that. They vary in sizes.
Yep.
I was just about to say, good luck with that.
Just a tip.
Allegedly.
Now, on the topic of the supply chain being an issue, we talked a little bit about it on the last episode, the cost of electronics. I've not seen any abating on the cost of those. So here's just, I hate doing the prediction thing, but when I see things really clearly coming on the horizon, I have to call it. Yep. So we're seeing a huge amount of technology leaving the consumer's hands and going into the hands of big tech. Big tech is spending all of their money and energy on AI. Right now, it's prone to all kinds of weird stuff. So it's still yet unproven, but they are getting results. And so what's happening is there's a really big shift in wealth happening. That shift in wealth is also making it hard for you and me and the common people to get that computer and do their own thing. Okay, maybe you would decide you're going to take this AI thing all the way. You're going to build your own AI because you don't have time to read all the books that you downloaded. So you're going to download an AI, you're going to train it to read all those books, and then you're going to put that on your mobile device, right? And now you're going to have your personal AI with you, right? So, okay, that's really smart. Like, really, if I'm like even just a little bit smart, I can take all of the medical books that I personally downloaded and I can train an AI so I can have a doctor in my pocket offline. Now, wouldn't that be useful when you've got a catastrophic bleed? Right? Hey, AI, how do I, clamp this artery? Right? And then it'll bloody tell me. So I see all kinds of really great uses for that tech. But for you and I to play with that tech, how much is it costing you?
Mm-hmm. Well, what if the tech's not there?
No. The idea is it's not that the tech's not there, Pierre. What I'm getting to is they want to lock the tech away from you and make it so that you have to access it in a metered way, just like your power right now gets delivered to your house in a metered manner that you can then be charged on a trickle bit basis. All right. They are commodifying everything that we do to support our life in this manner. Remember, there was a time you didn't pay for water. Well, in Ottawa, you've got a water bill that just measures your volume. So whatever you are taking in, you're going to pay for bit by bit, right? They're now going to be doing that with all of the IT stuff that you've been experiencing in a certain way for many years. They're looking to completely change that so that in the end, all you do is open and consume a channel to their tech, which is all on the network.
Yeah, and
that's what I see happening.
And I'm sure they'll monitor what you're looking up and then block you and say you've used your monthly data for first aid stuff or whatever. But I was also buying what if tech goes down, so you can't recharge your phone, EMP, all that stuff, right? Absolutely, if the technology is there, it's used. ChatGTP gets used in the house, not by me, but it's not a bad thing. It's a useful tool. Don't get me wrong, right? But I've started looking into, okay, what books do I have that are on my phone, right? Like I have Audibles, Kindles, all that stuff. And okay, what out of there do I need to like pay attention to and like retain information and make personal notes? Because that might disappear. Like it's happened before, right? Like just a book I paid for is like gone. I'm like, where'd it go? They're like, oh well, the book's no longer available. So, okay, what about the $25 I gave you to get that book? They're like, oh well, that's not our issue, right? So, if you really want to go down how everything's going, right? Getting keynotes on if you have the hard copy, it's not going to help in a scenario where you need it right away. But if the hard copy, I have the hard copy and they don't kick my door in and take my books away, you'll have access to that knowledge, until something happens to the book in comparison to all the technology stuff. So I think prioritizing that usage of ChatGTP, all those AI things to learn a skill and then look at your best options to get hard copies, or if you retain information really, really well, concentrating on getting the essentials off those things, because it's just going to be searched, right? If anything, everything gets, we all know, like we've all got phones, right? The more and more you start Googling certain things, the more and more you're going to be on certain lists if it comes to it, or this and that. So if you can try and avoid that, your Amazon shopping list, things I've said on the internet while YouTubing live, I will have to answer for one day. But if I can,
I have an episode for you?
If I can keep some of that off of it, right, is going to be a little bit better. So along with what you're saying, I'm thinking that would also be a good thing, which I'll do my best, but it's not. I'll get Frugal to set me up. That's my theory.
So here's a question for the panel. What practical steps do you think listeners can take right now, given the events that are happening in the world right now, seeing the impacts that we're seeing? What kind of practical steps could some listeners maybe take now to help kind of get through what the world's going through right now?
Spend an extra $20 every time you go get groceries and buy a couple more cans of food, or invest in a dehydrator like Pierre said, and maybe look on Kijiji and buy a gently used, in good condition chest freezer or stand-up freezer. Start filling it. Again, spend your extra $20 on meat and throw it in the freezer.
Great advice. Personally, I'm going to build a smoker this year, and I'm going to do it on a budget. And I'm looking at a couple of different methods right now, but the reason I want to build a smoker, and it's going to be a fully off-the-grid smoker, and the idea is that if it's total breakdown and I can at least hunt and fish, well, then with a smoker, I can preserve that food. And that's a really time-tested technique. The other one that works really well, and I'm going to mention here, I'm just going to drop it in here. because not enough people talk about it, and that is sun curing. Sun curing. So the
I thought you were
old
gonna say
wisdom
salting.
was, yeah, do both, man. If you do salting and curing and sun curing, you can cure anything in 2 days in the sun, is the old way, but it has to be sliced really thin. That's the
Like
only thing.
your sun-dried tomatoes, right? They're that round, they're paper thin, and they're all shriveled up. Like that's
Yeah.
literally what they did.
Yeah,
Like,
they
you
just
sliced
leave
it
them out
thin.
there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you've got an old hot stone, an old stone in the
Mm.
sun, you can put something that is really thin on that stone, and you can. So all these old school methods, to me, now's a good time to look at how you can implement them around you, and it's going to be different for everybody, right? If you're living in an apartment, my first thought would be, in a real panic scenario, how do you just get out of there? Because that's one of the first places where things are going to go kind of awry. Remember, 3 days without food or water, people get really squirrely and really crazy. And any of these supply chain elements can fail, right? So that's what I would do. I would do an inventory of everything you need to live, from your security to, your drinking water, and then your food, in that order of priority. And then from there, maybe factor in heat, although we're lucky right now it's springtime. But not everybody lives in that nice, climate band of Canada.
Not in
There's the
Alberta.
northern areas. There's Alberta, right? We've got some Albertans here listening. So I would do an inventory of everything. Now's the time to do it in full, but also know what you're short of, what you're weak on, and reach out to your network of people to, kind of share that out. I got a great comment here being put up here. Thank you. That's Slapgat. Pick a bug out location for panic moves. I've been talking about this for a long time. Get together with your mags. Don't use phones. Right now we have SMS blasters in country. If you look very carefully at the news item about those SMS blasters, they've given the names of the 3 fellas who got stopped. They're all from a certain country. Okay.
Actually.
So right now there's stuff going on in country that's really serious, but it's not really being reported on very, very deeply. Okay. That's a big item for me when I see that happening. So now's the time to firm up everything. So have your group communications in order, find alternate means to communicate. Again, now is the time to do a quick lookup on how to set up a dead drop system. A dead drop system means you choose a location where you can do something to leave a signal. And all you have to do is pre-agree.
Left a dead body somewhere, you'd find it.
No, those are your skeletons in the closet, brother.
Yeah.
Which I need to rethink half my preps now. I thought that was on the same page as me.
I've been doing it all wrong.
Yeah, I've been doing it all wrong. No wonder you haven't gotten back to me.
But if you're in a hurry to pick up lots of skills, the strategy that Pierre gave, I think, is the way to go. Buy the book. All right. If the book's on the shelf and the power is out and you got sun, well, you can read the book. I don't know. To me, that's old school and it works. So yeah, it's just, I think the key thing is to disconnect sometimes from the news cycle, because you have to do that in order to do these preps. So if you're glued to the news cycle, it doesn't work, right?
So I'll go.
Absolutely.
Yep. And that slap goat, I think it is. He kind of stole my thunder there. That was on my list of the bug out location. A couple practical things on my side of it is you need to be flexible and need to constantly reassess. Things are changing. Like Eric said, all of a sudden it's 0 and the next day it's up to a 10. So you've got to be constantly reassessing. Don't fall into the set it and forget it. Diversify, always be looking at what do I have? What do I need? What might I need more of? So not getting trapped, which I think a lot of us do. I know that I did at one point, kind of got trapped into I've got that and I've got this and I've got that and I don't need to worry. And then our location where I live, and Eric doesn't live far from me, we got a really, really bad ice storm. And what I thought I had turned out to be not, I mean, it was good and it got me through it, but I found a lot of holes, a lot of areas where I thought I was good, and it turned out I wasn't. So, because I had kind of gotten into that mindset that, okay, I've done that, I've done this, I'm good to go, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
So, and I'll be the first to admit that. So, audit your current supplies, try to identify the gaps, the weak points. Is it time to increase your food and water resilience, especially around water? I may also be doing a presentation at the preppers meet on water and finding and purifying water and all that stuff, because I think that's one of the biggest gaps in anybody's prep is water.
Agreed.
You can have all the freeze dried stuff you want, but if you don't have water to make it edible, you're wasting your time.
And you can have 100,000 gallons of water in your house, but if you need to leave your house, how are you taking the water with you? Water weighs a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes up a lot of room, and that's kind of what catches people off guard. So
Great presentation topic, Jeff.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'll
that was,
definitely be there for that one. I'm
Yeah,
a firm
fingers
believer
crossed,
in
I know,
having
but-
portable filters. But I
Nobody say
definitely
life
think-
straw. Ian will be mad. Everybody say life straw.
Life straw.
Life straw.
Yeah.
You got that shit in my back
You
pocket.
could go down a rabbit hole. I haven't.
Yeah.
It isn't confirmed yet, and I haven't looked at, but it'll be, that like those things like the Berkeys and the life straws and all that.
The Sawyers.
To be honest,
all the
they're only going to
things.
get you so far.
Yeah.
You've got to be able
Absolutely.
and you need water in large amounts. They say you should have at least 4 liters per person per day. How long is a life straw going to take you to get that? A really incredibly
not-
long time. So
And not just that, a lot of people don't consider pets, animals,
Yeah.
and all that stuff
Yep.
in those preps, right? Well, I need 4 liters of water. Well, if you, Brad's met my dogs, the fucking horses in my house, like, Claude's met my dogs, like,
Yep, mini horses.
I need more than 4 liters per dog, right? So it's like, it has to be a conscious effort of,
right, and
we're going to go down
and-
the dark rabbit hole of when do the dogs not become part of the preps,
when you start running out of food. Did I say that out loud?
No, but
Yeah.
right, but it has to be like nobody
But
wants to go down that rabbit hole, but you have to take that a conscious thing
Yep.
where it becomes a burden.
Pierre
It
is
becomes
right.
complicated.
Yep.
A good idea would be to sit down and have a talk with your family. If
yes.
you've got young children,
You stole
maybe
it, you
just do it with
fucker.
your significant other, so you don't scare the children, because you don't want to add to the panic scenario if you do need to deploy any of these plans and implement them quickly. But definitely have that talk with your significant other. Do it in a calm way. Definitely don't rush and do the panic buying thing. That's just a recipe for disaster. But I've been focusing a lot on the sales. When I see things that are on sale and it's like, well, I did come here to buy one, so you know what, I'll get 2. It's on sale. That's always been wise. So I would say just continue on doing the wise things. Prioritize. I prioritize old school things that will keep working a long time. The less moving parts, the simpler the tech, the better. Hand tools, old school things, and be creative. Gosh, there's so many ways. If you've got a 2-liter pop bottle, you also have a water filter. You just need
You
to
also have
figure
a
out
lot of
what to
string.
put in that water pop bottle to make it into a filter, right?
Or I would
Or-
go into this with my presentation.
Yep.
Wherever you source the water, you need to filter it, right? Get the junk out of it first as much as you can before you go on to other stuff. Coffee filter.
Yep.
Brilliant.
If it's going to stop coffee grounds from going through, it's going to stop other stuff. Denny made a comment, and I won't go quickly down the rabbit hole, but he said, my son was asking how to gather rainwater systems. Rainwater systems are great. You got to remember something. The rainwater comes off your roof.
Yep.
And what else is on your roof? Birds, and what the birds do, they crap like crazy. So you got to be really, really careful about a rainwater system if you want to make it drinkable at all. You got a lot of work to do on that.
Yep. So Frugal kind of stole my idea when we were saying like, hey, what would you do? And I was actually going to say, I was like, one of the biggest things, you guys all had great stuff for preps, and I 100% agree with everything, but it's that talk with your mag, your family. I have 1,000 ideas going through my head about where it needs to go, but Mel may have a different point of view that I never considered.
Yep.
Saying like, hey, where do we stand? Like, when do we pull the plug on something? Like, okay, what do you think we need? I think we need more food. She'll think we need more sparkles to make cups. Like, come to that nice agreement of like, hey, like, this is where my brain is going. Like, where's your brain going? Have that open dialogue about it. And even with your mag, right? Like, if you're the guy everybody looks to in the mag, like, does not mean everything, right? Like, I've had many conversations with people that I've been doing my job for 10 years and they've only been doing it for 3 years, and then they say something and I'm like, man, why didn't I think of that? Being humble with everything and understanding that everybody's point of view, you can agree to disagree, but having, like, if me and Brad and Frugal all decide that, hey, if something happens, we're going to meet together, but we're all on complete different pages, it's not going to benefit any of us to meet up, right? So it's
correct.
Hey, these are my concerns. Brad, what's yours? Frugal, what's yours? This is my family's. This is your family's. This is your family's. How can we all commingle together? And hey, I can take care of this because I can do that with my eyes closed. And now you don't have to worry about that and that. So, helping each other out and just all getting on the same page, I think can be a way ahead of even buying an extra can of soup.
Agreed. If I can just add just a little bit to Pierre's idea, because I think it's the best idea, do have that meeting, do it in person, and leave your phones
inside
away. Put them away. Put them in a metal ammo box. Close the ammo box. You know what I mean?
Dirty bag.
Right.
But have those conversations,
honestly,
obviously, not at the next door's place that has a ring camera.
Yeah. It's not a paranoia thing. Everybody knows these things are designed to spy on us. So do yourselves a favor. If you're going to have really important plans like survival, I don't know. To me, it's worth putting the phones aside and doing it right. Yep. So that's the only thing I'm going to add to what Pierre said. It's definitely the thing to do. Have that discussion.
Yeah. So just kind of, we're an hour into it. So I'll just kind of grab a couple quickie things at the end that Eric put in his notes. Lone wolf prepping. So you going out on your own and not communicating and not, as Pierre said, have a group. Lone wolf prepping, it absolutely has its limits. A lot of us may be good at a lot of things, but we're not good at everything. So there is value of local networks and trusted groups and trusted people, and it gives you an opportunity to share knowledge and resources. 100%. I've said it all along. When something goes wrong, if there's something I don't have and I know Eric has, I'm just going to go steal it. So,
yeah. I mean,
good luck, Jeff.
Yeah, I know. And common mistakes to avoid is panic buying instead of planning.
Mm-hmm.
We've already talked about that. Reassessing, looking at your, what's going on in the world and whatever. Big one. People laugh at us as preppers because we make the joke about, oh, you tested your equipment. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Ignoring maintenance, ignoring your rotation of stuff. Yep. That's going to come back and bite you when you really need it. It's not going to work. So, and not accounting for long-term scenarios. That's kind of a hard one to gauge because, we had the ice storm. I didn't think I would be without power for 12 days, but I was. So
Yeah, you
You
think
know,
2-3 days tops, and you
yeah,
stop thinking
I
about
mean,
it.
I didn't leave my house for 4 days, and I was perfectly fine. But
Yeah.
you know, you found those,
It caught
like I
us
said,
all
I
off
found
guard.
all that stuff that were the gaps. So
Yeah, maybe we'll touch on just a couple of final takeaways before we move into the close up of the episode. But just remind yourself that preparedness is reducing risk. You're not predicting events, right? So it's and we kind of get hung up on that quite a bit, where we're trying to predict everything that's going to happen. Reality, we're just trying to reduce risk, right? And then we've touched on it a lot throughout this episode of just some small, consistent actions and getting things kind of built up and ready, instead of being reactive and going out and doing that panic buying. That's not going to help anybody. Yeah, and then you're going to have a whole bunch of stuff and you're not going to know what to do with it.
or the other thing with the panic buying because something has happened, everybody else is going to be buying that same item too. So
that's right. Yeah.
So even if you go out and you intend to buy something, you may not find it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Or so what you do is you sit in the parking lot and you write down the
Wait for
license
someone to
plates of
spot
all
it
the
and run out.
vehicles that drive away, and then before the collapse of society, you figure out where they all
Oh,
live.
boy.
Yeah,
Nobody listened to Pierre.
Allegedly.
yeah, don't listen to Pierre.
Allegedly.
He's having a brain fart.
We'll just edit that part out. and of course, stay informed, right? But don't let staying informed overwhelm you, because that's exactly what the media is trying to do, right?
Yeah.
So stay informed, watch what's happening, just watch what you're grabbing and what you're planning for, constantly evolve that. But I think, the key is just don't get overwhelmed. It's easy to go down that rabbit hole of getting overwhelmed, and then you've got a whole bunch of stuff, no plan, and you're up the creek.
And if you're going to stay informed, look for more than one news company.
Yes.
Maybe find some off ones. Don't trust everything the CBC says, or don't trust everything of whatever.
Yeah.
Do the best you can to get as much info from many different news outlets, because somewhere in the grapevine of all that stuff is probably some of the truth.
Yep.
Some people can be biased on things. So, you read one article and you're like, oh my God, that's happening. And then when you actually find out details later on, it might be different, it might not be, but yeah, if you're going to stay informed from mainstream media and all those things, definitely look at different sources. Hopefully you can get some sort of info, and hopefully you get too biased things to calm your nerves a little bit.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well, let's move into the podcast challenge. So for this episode, pick one way world events could affect your life. Find the gap in your preps. Take one action to fix it. Don't overthink it. It could be something very, very simple, like just buying a new jerry can and filling it up. A little bit expensive to do, but simple. Right?
Brilliant.
Jeff, you got a weather blurb for us?
I do, but just before I do that, I just want to throw this out there. There's been a ton of good ideas and stuff in the live chat. Just a reminder to everybody, anybody wants to come on the podcast, let us know. You don't have to have a camera on. You don't have to show your face. But if you want to come on and you've got a bit of a specialty in something, or you want to talk about something, fire us off a message. We're more than happy to have
absolutely
other people on.
If I made it on, you're all capable of making it on.
Well, I didn't want to actually come out and say it, Pierre, that we were trying to replace you.
I'm okay. I'm willing to accept my
Now that you
position.
said it.
If I can also mention these comments, once the live show is done, these comments disappear. So if you want to cycle back, once the show is posted up to YouTube, and put the comments back on, that first of all helps everybody else see who isn't watching the live stream. It also kind of boosts the show in YouTube and kind of sees some interaction, and helps get other people to be able to see it. So just mention that.
Yep.
Very nice.
Okay, so I'll do my weather blurb. I'll be short. It's been a fairly active week for some severe weather, especially stateside. And tomorrow, Monday, is looking to be potentially a pretty significant severe weather day. all the parameters are there for it to be a significant tornado outbreak. As fate would have it, it's also the 15th anniversary of the worst tornado outbreak in U.S. history. The 2011 super outbreak was spawned by a single weather system. Was the largest tornado outbreak spawned by a single weather system in recorded history. It produced 367 tornadoes from April 15th to April 28th of 2011. 223 of those were in a single 24-hour period on the date of April 27th, which, as I say, is tomorrow. 15 of those tornadoes were at minimum of an F4, and 348 people were killed. So, in Canada, we got screwed. They stopped our weather radio stuff. But in the States, if you don't have a weather radio, especially if you're in, the very traditional tornado area, I'm thinking Kansas, Oklahoma, Iowa, into maybe North Texas, Illinois, like those kind of areas. I think you really, really, really need to pay attention tomorrow, because it could turn out to be a pretty significant day. Like I said, all the parameters are there. The Cape is there. Cape's
what Superman has.
Well, yeah, more or less. It's the available potential energy. Convection available potential energy is really, really high. Use the analogy. It's like a car engine. Your 4 cylinder is going to putt around and do nothing, and whereas your Hemi V8. So tomorrow it's a Hemi V8. So there's another thing that's significant, and it's called a cap. The cap is basically a layer of warm air above a couple thousand feet in the air. It kind of stops storms from bubbling up. But if they bubble up strong enough and hard enough, and they do what's called break the cap, then all bets are off for what's going to happen tomorrow. So just keep that in mind, and stay safe.
All right. A deal of the week. So, of course, Princess Auto is on the list again for this week. They've got a nice battery bank with a built-in solar panel. Is it small, and the panel's not going to, charge that battery bank too quickly, but it will give it a charge, and it's $34. So, kind of handy to toss in your Go kit or your Get Home kit or your Bug Out bag or whatever you want to call it, and just have it there ready to go if need be. So I'll throw that in the live chat here for everybody.
Nicely.
And with that, we'll bring episode number 274 of the Canadian Prepper Podcast to an end. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, your favorite podcast app. Pretty sure we're still there. Please do submit a review. It does encourage the algorithms, along with cycling back and throwing some comments in the videos for us. That lets other people find the show for about 30 seconds until they realize what we're talking about, and the algorithm throws us back to the bottom. But those 30 seconds are glorious.
So she said.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, we do record these shows live on YouTube and Facebook as well. If you want an early peek at the shows, please subscribe to the YouTube channel Canadian Prepper Podcast and click the notifications tab. That gives you an alert when we're going live. Anybody wants to reach out to me, it's feedback@prepperpodcast.ca.
If anybody needs me, I'll be at batbradcpp@gmail.com or frequently on the Discord.
You can find me off the wall customizing, probably on a bunch of socialist medias. My wife takes care of that. I'm on the Discord. I don't do much, but I do keep an eye on it and throw a comment here and there. Or you can find me mostly Monday nights for the other CPP, the Patriot Podcast, live on YouTube's at 9, where we critique the government way more than we do tonight.
Yeah.
I must find this particular podcast at some point. Not yet, though. You can find me, Frugal Getty, on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, Instagram, and CPP Discord, and offgridschool.ca, and in person this summer at the annual Preppers Meet.
All right. If you want to get a hold of me, it's feedback@prepperpodcast.ca. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, be prepared, stay safe.
And keep learning.